Last week, the city of Detroit Lakes finally made a decision when it came to how they want to handle their city engineering. At least it's a decision that will hold for the rest of this year and will be reevaluated later on down the line. Now, the city of Detroit Lakes has an appointed engineer. In this case, over the last couple of years, the appointed engineer has been John Pratt, who worked at Oldtag Engineering. Sometime over the last summer here, John Pratt left Oldtag Engineering, a company the city of Detroit Lakes had worked with for a long time and had always had a city engineer, at least in recent memory, from Oldtag. John Pratt left to join a different company known as Apex Engineering. Now, at that time, the city of Detroit Lakes wondered what it should do about its engineering. Stay loyal to Oldtag Engineering or stay loyal to the person that they appointed as their city engineer. After much negotiation and discussion over the last couple months, last week the city of Detroit Lakes made a decision, sort of. They decided to keep John Pratt on as their city engineer, even though he works with Apex Engineering, and will let both Apex Engineering and Oldtag bid on projects for the rest of the year. Now, the reason this has come up and really been a struggle for the city is it brings a few ethical questions into line here with the city and the way it's running right now. Ethical question number one. Oldtag Engineering and Apex Engineering are marred right now in a very bitter corporate lawsuit over supposedly corporate espionage, stealing of files, a whole bunch of other charges. All this came about in about 2010. I want to say it was the spring of 2010 when the original founders of Apex Engineering left Oldtag Engineering and set up this company, allegedly taking files in the process to do that. This latest group of Apex Engineers people came from, some of them at least, from the Detroit Lakes office. I don't know if it was 3, 4, or 5, but a handful of them did leave the Oldtag Detroit Lakes office and are now attempting to establish an Oldtag office here in Detroit Lakes, one that you can expect to see probably in a few weeks. Now, I don't have any knowledge to know that the Detroit Lakes group did anything wrong when they left Oldtag Engineering to join Apex Engineering. But the fact is they're joining a company right now that has a bitter divide against the other company they left. And really, I don't know personally what the whole reason for the schism and the split was between the engineers and the company that they had worked for loyally for many, many years. But because of that decision by the city engineer, it kind of thrust the city and the taxpayers in the end into a situation to have to look at. The City of Detroit Lakes engineering business is worth a lot of money, anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 a year, plus the millions of dollars in projects that they do every single year. So you can see why both Oldtag and Apex really want the client. But I really think the City of Detroit Lakes has an ethical question as far as the process. A lot of people might wonder, why would you stick with a person rather than with the company that you've worked with for so long? Well, there could be some conflicts of interest between some of the relationships between John Pratt, his family, and the city. He has family members that have worked for the city in the past as well. He also has parents that are friends with some people that are in the city. Now, it's a small town. We all know each other, at least a lot of us do. However, that doesn't escape the fact that there is a perception in the community of maybe a double standard of the good old boys club that frankly I've been told about since the day I moved to Detroit Lakes, and I still struggle to find out if there is a good old boys club or really just a small town where a lot of people know each other. But in the end, I hope the fact that the two sides are bidding on projects for Detroit Lakes will mean you and I as taxpayers will get the best bids, the lowest bids for our projects. And I hope the fact that we're letting a younger upstart company come in and bid in a town where we have lots of projects going on, 12 of them at least, and many more on the way, that they'll be done right and correctly, because it's a lot to gamble with a new company when you got another company with 75+ years experience in our area.